Hey guys, what's been up? In this video, I'll be telling you how to sort a list using Python. So there are actually three methods to do it, but in this video, I'll be talking about the method known as bubble sort. So this is a really easy method guys, and I think you all should know. So let's get started. And as you can see here on the screen, I have this presentation. So just suppose that we have this list where there are some names like Vijay, Sanvi, Rohit, Zafar and Maya. So suppose we have to sort these names in order of their alphabets. So what could we do from here is simple. First of all, let me tell you that these numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 tells you about the indexes of the specific names. So when I talk about index 0 of the list, so this is a list guys, this is a complete list. And when I talk about the first, or sorry, the 0th index of the list, I'm talking about Vijay. When I talk about the first index, it's Sanvi. So correspondingly you can understand. So let's just begin. So this is an unsorted list and we'll be running some iterations over this list in order to make it sorted. So I'll be telling you the code later. First of all, I'll just tell you the overview how we're gonna do it. So basically, since you can see there are 5 objects, or what we can say subjects in our list, then we're gonna need 4 iterations. So iterations, by saying iterations, I mean a set of this following steps which is shown in the figure. So the first iteration, which is going to be I is equals to 0. So I'll be telling you about that later, but for now just consider it the first iteration. So in the first iteration, we'll take the variable j and we'll give it the value 4. So at j is equals to 4, what's gonna happen is that the last two names, that is Zafar and Maya, both of these will be examined, and the one which has the lower value, or the one which has the lower first alphabet, like this is M and this is Z, so M should come over here, right? So in the first step, that is j is equals to 4, this thing would be sorted. So this will result in this list. It will alter the list and resulting list would be this one. So as you can see, no other elements have been changed, but Maya has been switched to Zafar because Zafar has Z in its first letter. So that's j is equals to 4. Now j is equals to 3 will run, and in this command, now it will examine these two. So similarly, it's gonna examine R and M, and the letter which is smaller, that is M, that's gonna shift in that position. So one more shifting is going to take place. As you can see, Maya and Rohit have been shifted in the next step. So now similarly, j is equals to 2 and 1 are going to work, and at the end of this we're going to have this list. So now what has happened? So this is the end of our first iteration, and after the execution of the last j is equals to 1, we're going to have this list in picture. So as you can see, this thing is not sorted yet, but we can say that the lowest letter, that is M, has been shifted to the first place. So that is the motto of the first iteration. So that means the first iteration is going to shift the word which is going to be the minimum. So in this case, M is the minimum in Maya, so that has been shifted to the first place. So that's the mechanism. And now similarly, second iteration is going to run, which is going to be I is equals to 1, and in that iteration, now this list, the list at the end here, this list is going to be the input, and j is equals to 4, 3, 2, 1, everything is going to run once again. Then at the end of the second iteration, similarly, this place, the second place will be occupied by the second smallest letter. So by looking at the list, I can assume that is R, right? So R is going to come at this place, similarly, just like this method. And similarly, when the iteration number 2 and 3 will run, all of those will create the same effect, and hence we'll get a sorted list at the end of it. So it sounds pretty complex, right? But when we'll write the code, you'll understand it better. So let's not waste more time and write the code for this. So I'll switch to Python now. Yeah, so this is my PyCharm, and now I'll be showing you how to write the code for this. like I'm going to define functions in order to do this command. So if you don't know about functions, then I think you're going to face some problems, but otherwise it's fine. So let me define a function and I'll name it bubble sort, and I'll give an input to it like list1. So this list1 is going to be the main list which the user is going to input, by the way. So user is going to input a list, and that list will come out to be sorted by using this function. So let's write the code in this function. Let's define the parameter, guys. Well, it's not necessary if you define this parameter, but I think it will be easy if you do it. So I'll be defining n, that will be equal to length of the list minus 1. So for example, my list consists of 5 different objects, so the n would be equal to 5 minus 1, that is 4. So you'll get to know this thing is important. Actually, this is the highest value of index. So for example, my list is having 5 objects, so the first object is going to have the index 0, not 1. So in that order, the 5th object will have the index 4. So in n, I should not exceed 4, of course. So that's why I've chosen n is equals to length of list minus 1. Length of list means the number of objects in the list. Okay, so let's proceed. Now I'll apply a range here for loop. So for I in range, now I'll be using the range 0 to n. First of all, I'll just write the functions and then I'll explain it to you guys. So then I'll also define a function, a variable j, which will be running from the range n to I, and minus 1 would be the negative change. So yeah, I think I should tell you. So the iterations that I was talking to you in the previous diagram, this is the iteration. So iteration number 1 would be meaning I is equals to 0. So that's been it. So that's the use of this range command, and after that I'll be using another for in loop for the j transitions. Remember the j transitions. Now I'll be using an if loop. So if list of 1, and now I'll be using the square bracket, j is less than list 1 j minus 1. So what is this statement? Let me tell you. So this if statement, if list 1 square bracket j. So I think you all should know what this means, square bracket j, but if you don't know, I'll tell you. This command indicates the object of the list 1 which is at the index j. Okay, so for example, if I have a list 1 2 0 1 2, these are the 3 objects of my list, suppose. So list 1 square bracket 0 would mean 0, and the corresponding you can think. So what I'm saying is check if, and as you can see, the range of my j is from n to I. Okay, so I'm moving from n to I, and that transition I'm making by -1. That means I'm first of all considering n, then I'm reducing n by 1, then I'm reducing n by 2 until it becomes I. Okay, so that means that I'm checking the last 2 objects of my list. So this statement means I'm checking the last object and the last second object of my list at that time. So between them, the one which is smaller, so the smaller one should be interchanged if it's not on the left side. So that's what it's trying to say. Now let's move forward. So we have considered the if statement. So now let's just say that that condition is true. So what will happen if that condition is true? So then interchange both of them. Okay, so let's write the code for that. List 1 j minus 1. So this code means that if this condition is true, then interchange the object which is present at j to j minus 1. So that's what it's indicating, this whole complete line. So now that's it for the code. Yeah, it's very small. Now let's just define another function, that is main. Okay, if you must know, we do this so that the code gets executed correctly. So let me just define main. Now in main I'd have to define the list one. So first of all, let me just define the list one. So list one will be input. Okay, first of all we have to evaluate input, enter the list. Okay, so that's this one shows that we are asking the user to input the list that they want to sort. Okay, and the next one would be print sorted. So this is just for good visuals. So first of all it will print sorted list, and then it will show the sorted list. We would have to initiate this function. So to initiate this function, this is the first line of the function. So we'll write this first line, bubble sort, and then in bracket we'll write list one, of course. So that's going to bubble sort, that means that's going to sort, this command is going to sort the list one, and then after the list one is sorted, let's print this list so that user would know what the list has become, list one. So that's it for the code. Now we just have to do the main equal to. So this command is basically used, if you have used Python for a long time, I think you'll know this command. This command is used to initiate whatever code you've written, and this is very useful command. So this is it, this is the whole titration, and now we'll execute this code. Okay, so let's run this code now. I guess it's completed. Okay, so let's run it. Oh, okay, here we go. So enter the list. Now we'll have to enter a list. Now please note that the input that you're entering, you should enter it in the way of a list. So you can't randomly just write the names like this. You have to enter it in the sequence of a list. So as you know, the list is made of a square bracket, so we'll open up with a square bracket. Now let's just write some names. I don't know, Raj. Now he should have a Simran. Okay, think Dawn, or maybe Anshul. Okay, I think that's diverse enough. So let's just hit enter. Yeah, so as you can see, the sorted list is Anshul, Dawn, Raj and Simran.
That's about right.
Now let me just tell you once again, let's just take this example and understand this. So we have 4 objects here, 1 2 3 4, and these 4 objects are going to be the part of this n. So when we begin this code, we define n, right? So when we define n, in this case, when the list one is Raj, Simran, Dawn, Anshul, the length of list one is 4, because there are 4 objects. So 4 minus 1, that's going to be 3. So n is going to be equal to 3. Now for I in range 0 to n, that means for I in range 0 to 3. Okay, so now first of all, I is going to take the value 0, of course, and then j is going to take a value. So j is going to take a value 3, and then it's going to come to 0 by subtracting 1. Okay, so first of all, it's going to take the value 3. If Anshul is less than dawn. That's what this statement is going to say when in the first iteration of I and first iteration of j, which is true, right? Which is true. Anshul is less than dawn. So what should we do? We should interchange. This one is Anshul, right? So we should interchange Anshul. That is, Anshul is equals to j minus 1. That is, Anshul should be replacing dawn, because this thing belongs to dawn. So that clearly means that Anshul would be coming here and dawn would be going here. Okay, so similarly in the next iteration, so this is done, right? This step is done. After that, again this loop is going to run, right? It's going to exit the loop and this loop is again going to run. So when this loop runs again, the j will take the value n minus 1, because we have n in the beginning and we have minus 1 as the subtraction. So n minus 1, which gives us, I think, 2, right? So now it's going to compare between these two. So similarly, for different values of j, it's going to compare first of all these two, then these two, then these two. So these 3 iterations are going to take place, and after that the iterations for j are going to complete. Then I will change its value. So then I will be equal to 1, and then once again it's going to run the same loop, and now you get the idea, right? So similarly you're going to finally get this one. So let me tell you one thing real quick once again. When we talk about this, the first iteration of j, we are actually talking about the smallest among these 4 to come at the 0th index. Okay, so the smallest among these 4 is Anshul, right? In the first iteration of I, we're going to have different values of j, so that Anshul comes at the first place, because Anshul has a in its beginning. Okay, so when Anshul comes to the first place, then this whole loop is going to exit, because the value of j would terminate to I, and after that it's going to change the loop to this loop again, and it's going to repeat until it comes to the last value. So for next iteration we'll be looking for the second one, that is dawn. So which after Anshul, which one should come after Anshul? It's dawn, right? So in the second iteration for I, different values of j will be taken, so that dawn comes to the second place, because dawn belongs on the second place. Similarly, all of these loops are going to run in order in order to produce this list. And I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be uploading a lot of more Python tutorials, so please stay tuned, and thanks for watching.